What works? Language literacy and numeracy in training and assessment.
See, my aim here is to develop a world-class apprentice program and develop world-class apprentices. And I think literacy and numeracy plays a very big role in that, because that's how they're going to learn it. In doing that course, there were a lot of industry people in there. So apart from getting the fundamental knowledge, I would say skill to a certain extent, it was also good to interact with a lot of industry people over there, and there were some of them from similar industries, some were from different industries, but there was a good exchange of some best practices there.
I found it really interesting to be in the classroom with also other people that come from different areas of training. You know, when I was hearing the trades people talk about numeracy as a core component of, you know, a trade area, but also communication skills and literacy and language around that. So, you know, you start to see it as a bigger picture type of issue. And I learnt things from listening to other teachers and how they manage things, or how they might have constructed a learning experience for people.
And the trainer there, Susan, was she also presented with a lot of real examples, which again put things into context. And I could see a lot of light bulbs glowing there. So, oh, we have a similar problem. Oh, fantastic! So that a solution we can implement.
It also, I think, helped me a great deal knowing that I'd built relationships with the people that were presenting it, that I could actually ring and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. What do you think?
It's one of the things as a trainer you've got to keep doing is evolving. And even though we're dealing blue collar, and I've really never done much in the way of white collar training, from the blue collar side of things, particularly with LLN, you've just got to keep reminding yourself you've got to get on top of what the latest, I guess, is out there to help you.
I'm from industry, so I'm a nurse and you know, a community worker. So what I was afraid of was that I didn't know anything about literacy and numeracy as a teacher. So, you know, I can teach you about my field and my occupation and what the standards and the expectations are and the roles and all those wonderful things, but I didn't think I knew anything about literacy teaching or numeracy. So for me, when people were really struggling with something in a classroom that was around those types of things, I felt I didn't know what to do about it. When in actual fact, I do know what to do about it, and I've learnt what to do about it.
How it helped me was that it made me more conscious of the importance of those core skills relating around language literacy and numeracy.
When I did the LLN with TAE, there was those methods that came up again. It enhanced that what I was doing was right. It also gave me more ideas on how to apply what I'm doing in the classroom, because I want everyone to benefit.
I've always been really interested in, you know, how do I further the learning experience? And it actually has been one of my concerns, I suppose, that I've never felt adequate, that I could assist people with literacy and numeracy. It's always been someone else's job. And I'm starting to now see that it's, with the right support for me, it's actually part of my job, and it's actually an interesting part of my job, because I can see that it's probably going to enable me to participate and engage more fully with students. But I actually feel like the outcomes we're getting are also rewarding, so that's been really enjoyable. What happened was that for me, I started to think about simplifying. Does a teaching resource or an assessment piece have to be complex in language? Suddenly I realised that I was actually quite complex in the way I was structuring things, and it could be much more simplified and still get the same outcome.
There's no point putting the language up here if we're dealing with people whose language skills are down here, and they've taught us that.
So it's really kind of like practising and exercising a new skill, really. And once I started to do that, I've started to realise it's not only easier for them, it's easier for me. I'm not going to have people coming to me all the time saying, what do you mean by that question? Or what are you looking for? You know, so it's made a difference to me in that way. It helped me understand the levels, and that's been really important. I mean, I know it sounds kind of, you know, if I understand the levels, it's not a big deal, but it actually is. And once you start to think about each of those levels, you start to think about, I guess, how that fits with what you're doing and where people are placed in that. And that's kind of almost liberating in some ways when you've felt scared of not being able to meet learners' needs around literacy and numeracy, because it does free you up to think and put things in place. So it's been a really good process, great. It's been fantastic.
What I gained from the unit was now a different way to manage the language literacy and numeracy skills gaps of my learners, because prior to exposure to this this new unit of competency for trainers, perhaps we knew that there were gaps. We could see gaps. We could feel it. We could see it on paper. We could see the gaps that the learners had in terms of reading, writing, and counting, but we didn't know how to manage those gaps. Now we have much more knowledge, and we have better skills to be able to address those issues.
So you come back and you revise your own teaching methods. You go, okay, what can I do now to adopt in the classroom? So I learnt to simplify things.
As someone who didn't do very well at English at school, you know, I'm a fifth form remedial English dropout. I spent a lot of time learning about it when I left school. So I spent a lot of time, you know, learning to spell, working hard at it. I'd forgotten about my issues, and so it actually brought it all back to me. Doing the unit did make me rethink about the language most of all. So I started to think about how I word a question or how I word some text. How can I get the message out using simplest language? What works? Yeah.
What works?
So watching those videos was part of my LLN course.
So by doing the LLN unit, it gives you a deeper awareness. We're not the experts, but an awareness is made, which is good for us.
So now that I have this behind me, it again, you know, it enhances what I know, but it's also given me more confidence that, yes, this is another way I can deliver the course.
What have I learned from LLN? We've learned different approaches to do different things, so that over the last 18 months we're really growing and changing our ways, which is great.
Initially I thought, my God, what I got myself in for. By the end of it, I really enjoyed it. I did honestly enjoy it. And I actually enrolled then to do the diploma course following that on, which I only just started.